I'm going to leave the shirt open. I think it looks more sexy. Oh, you're there. Oh, hello. Somebody asked about this pipe. It's a Roop, R-O-P-P, and I think it's made of cherry wood. I smoked it once, many years ago, but tobacco expensive. Do you know how much tobacco goes in that hole? A lot. So I don't use it. We'll put it down over there. I took that test that is online. At Facebook, there's a lot of talk about it. How much do you know about Christianity? I thought to myself, 18 years of formal religion classes, I probably could do quite well on the test. I got a 79%. I answered all the Catholic questions. I didn't get those other questions, though. I think I might have got one. The interesting thing with that test, are you ready for this? Brace yourselves. Do you know who scored the best on that? The atheists. Now, this is funny if it wasn't so tragic. The atheists tend to be intelligent. They really do. In most areas. They've had to look at the Bible so much to disprove the stuff that would-be Christians have told them that they've learned it, not that they follow it. I think that was an interesting thing. The Bible Belt, they scored the worst. It's a sad state of affairs when the atheists do better than we Christians, isn't it? Let's not contemplate that. The purpose of the video is to answer some letters that I received. I try to answer every letter, but I thought I would just throw it out on a video because I did that one about saying that I was always going to be a Catholic, but I wasn't going to church anymore. This upset a lot of people, particularly students that I've worked with. So I wanted to do a video and tell you my faith is strong, and I am confident before I go to the talk show in the sky that I haven't lost faith. I have faith, and I'm going to tell you why. And it's like me maybe telling a UFO story. Some of you are going to say the old man is nuts, but I think it worth putting down in a video, so it's there. I prayed for many years for faith. I wanted to know for sure. I remember once as a brother telling a kid who asked me, "Do you believe 100% in God?" And I said, "No, 0.1%. There's a little doubt there." And it was like I had sucked him in the nose. It was the wrong answer. But I always had that doubt, and I always prayed that the question of faith, so I knew it was real, would come to me. Strange. I was listening on the radio one day. Here's the start of the story. I was listening on the radio, and this is the morning. I just got up, and I'm fiddling around on the dial, and I've got to be careful because there's an evangelical station here, there's a Protestant station here, and there's a Catholic station here, Mexican stations on either side. I dialed in to what I thought was a Catholic station, and there's a man talking about Mary, so I think everything was safe and secure. This is a Catholic radio station. This is Protestants and evangelicals do not talk about the Mother of God. So, he says, I went to Fatima. I was so impressed with Mary and how people who are sick and blind can see and are well. A doctor friend of mine had even told me of a patient that came back from Fatima. He wasn't Catholic. And she was blind because the things that make you see in her eyes were not there. And she came back, and she had those things there, and she could see. A miracle. But it was a story. It wasn't something that I could see, so it didn't convince me. He started going to church. It convinced the doctor. As this man continued to talk, he said, I travel around Catholic churches now as a Protestant, talking about devotion to Mary. And suddenly a red flag went up, because generally Catholic churches don't have Protestants coming in and talking to them from the pulpit. This is technical church stuff. I mean, when they preach from that pulpit, they are supposed to be totally Catholic, because that's just the way that church is. So I was a little suspicious of all of this. He said he had a $10,000 rosary, and every time he spoke, he held that $10,000 rosary up and showed it to that congregation. I bet they were impressed with the money that it costs to buy those beads of prayer. He said this day he had finished his talk, and he's walking out of the church, and this old priest, using a walker, hobbled up towards him, and the priest said, "Sir, I'm old." We could tell that by the fact of what I just described. "I have prayed this rosary since I was 14 years old. 3 times a day I pray this rosary. I see you're a fine rosary, and I would like to trade you my old worn-out rosary for your nice expensive diamond rosary with the golden chain." So I'm getting really suspicious now. But I don't turn off the radio. No, I'm going to hear the story out. He said, "I went to bed and I laid that old worn-out rosary that the priest had traded me for on the nightstand. And lo and behold, when I woke up in the morning, the rosary was gold. I threw the pillow at the radio, just like I do when I hear Rush Limbaugh. It smashed onto the floor. The radio's used to it. It's crash-proof. I did not hurt the radio. I like radios. But I forgot about it. I put it out of my mind. Now, oftentimes on my way to work, when in a traffic jam, instead of texting, I say the rosary. In fact, I do that every day. Got my mind off traffic jams and got me into prayer. Good time to pray when you're in the car. This way, those California drivers come up here, the way they drive, and some of those teenagers, best to be praying when you're behind the wheel. We'll cover all that on a safety video coming up in the near future. But as I was praying this rosary, a strange thing happened, and I saw it happen. It turned gold. The chain. It was silver, and suddenly I saw it turn a little bit gold. And in like waves, 5 waves, each time it became more and more gold. I know you think I'm nuts. My boy thought I was nuts, too. When I got to the radio station, I ran in, I held it up. I said, what is this rosary? What is it? They said, it's black with a gold chain. I said, no, the chain's silver, but it looks gold, doesn't it? It's gold, right? They said, yeah, it's gold. So I get home. My boy a couple of his friends are sitting at the kitchen table, and I brought the rosary out, and I said, what color is the chain on this rosary? They said, gold. My boy said, so you stopped by and had it gold-plated on your way home, so what's the deal? I said, no, I saw it happen in like 5 waves. He wasn't impressed. He said, if it did that, then the devil made it do it. You're of the devil. And on the table, this is the final coup de la cave of the story. On the table were gold flakes, and there were gold flakes on my fingers. I know, because I saw this, it was, to me, a miracle. It was something beyond my understanding. And in the flash of a second, this answer of faith was proven to me, that there is something above our nature that's unseen, that we can't understand. And the people at the table all laughed at me. But it created a bigger dilemma than not having a solid proof of faith. Because then when you make moves in life, and you really know there's something to this faith that is beyond my understanding, and I've seen physical proof of it, it makes it more difficult to lose faith. And if you do, you really have a kind of a guilty feeling about it. if you will excuse me.